Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. We're going to talk
Welcome.
about the Rogue One trailer.
Yeah, we sure are.
Welcome to Jessica's dissertation on the Rogue One trailer.
Yeah, Jess, got any other feelings you'd like to share?
Oh God. Wait, hold on. I gotta process all these feelings. Like it's
just for the viewer who's tuning into this video and doesn't realize it, Jessica just put up a really long analysis of the Rogue One trailer at
Yeah,
nerdist.com, which is a companion piece to this video where the rest of us are also going to share what we think.
companion piece is a very kind description of it. It is like a 1,600 word screed on every single tiny little bit I can find from that trailer. I mean, it was basically a text version of sucking the marrow from the bones. Like this was everything.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It was very thorough, though. Like, you definitely pointed out some stuff that, like, people would have missed. So it's good that somebody, took that on.
Oh yeah, I will always be that person. Like, just try going to any movie with me. I'll be like, oh, there's that thing, and there's that thing. Wait till I go to Disneyland. Oh man.
That's good, though, because there's a lot of little stuff to notice in this trailer. And I feel like I mostly focused on the big stuff when I was watching it, like the tone differences, which Teresa and I were talking about. Like, this is a much more hopeful trailer, as evidenced by the fact that the character's dialogue includes the word hope like 4 times. So, yeah, it's a very different tonal trailer.
We'll have hope.
Go ahead, say that again, Teresa?
No, I said, it's hopeful, guys. We're all about hope. I hope we have hope.
It's a campaign slogan. It did feel like very campaigny, and that might just be the news cycle that I'm also trapped in, like the life that we all live in, our Twitter timelines.
Maybe that was like a deliberate choice by them to be like, hey, everything really sucks right now. Let's make a really hopeful trailer, and just like...
I wondered about that, like the political implications of that. I don't know if that's just me overthinking things, but that's why we're here.
Yeah,
I had to get that Debbie Downer version of it in.
Yeah, go ahead and share that.
Yes, please.
No, well, because, and obviously I'm excited for this movie, and it looks cool and all of that, but, like, I couldn't help but think as I was watching it, and she's talking about how hopeful she is and how rebellions are built on hope, that, like, this is a prequel, so we know what happens after this, and we know, even though Luke takes out the Death Star, and even though, the Empire is defeated, but then, there's a First Order after that. And, like, there's always something. There's always some evil force, some evil alliance, some evil something. So it's like, yeah, we have hope, but also we'll always be fighting some kind of evil forever. Like, that's just pretty much how it is. We all kind of have to jump on board with that and be okay with it. I was like, oh, womp womp. Like,
yeah.
Aw. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say, like, that's the interesting thing about this movie and, like, the rest of these Star Wars stories is that they're set back in a time where we know what's gonna happen. So in some way, this is kind of like, how do we tell the same story again without telling the same story again?
Well, maybe it's okay to tell the same story again, though.
Yeah,
like, I know that's something that frustrated people about The Force Awakens and could potentially frustrate people about this movie, but I actually think it's kind of amazing to have to be continuing to tell these same stories again with, like, a very similar framing, but at least with The Force Awakens and with Rogue One, now we're seeing the story told with, like, very different characters, and that's a diversity thing, but it's also, like, just different perspectives and different situations and how those characters end up being part of the rebels in whatever form they may take, and, like, different people's journeys, not to get super corny about it, but, like, different people's journeys towards fighting evil and, like, how their own life experiences might bring them to that place, like, that's kind of valuable.
And there is a certain amount of hope in the continuing to fight, like that is the hopeful part about it, is that no matter what keeps coming at them, they will always fight for the light. They'll always fight for freedom. They will always fight against the dark side. And so there's the hope.
Yeah, but I mean, it was really interesting to see that tonal shift, because in the first Rogue One trailer, like, I hate to say it, but I wasn't as into that one. Like, I was like, I'm obviously going to see it, but having a main female character who just seemed, like, very grim to me, I was kind of like, I've seen The Hunger Games, guys. Like, I've seen, like, this sort of brunette, rebellious character, and, like, that's fine, but I was kind of at the time a little disappointed, because I was like, is this just a trope that we're gonna do? And I was kind of happy to see her have a little more personality this time around, where she actually is happy. Like there's times in the trailer where she smiles. Like that sounds like a weird thing to say, but I was like, this is kind of neat. Like we're not just seeing her be this cipher who's I guess it's like a masculine feminine thing where like she's not just like super tough action girl, you know what I mean? Like she's also like embodying a different spirit where she's more hopeful, and I thought that was actually pretty cool. I don't know.
Yeah, that's always the problem when you like, because they sometimes they suggest like, oh, if you want to create a nuanced female character, like something you can do is cross out the male name and write a female name.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes, but no, because like you can't just superimpose a male character on a female character and have it be the same thing. It's just not.
It's gonna be very different to have a female character who's part of the rebels, and like what's her experience like, and like what makes it different, and what is that going to affect how she's treated in this world? I don't really know. Star Wars hasn't really delved into that much, but it'd be interesting if they did.
It sure does look like a bunch of dudes fighting with her.
Yeah, but they're not all white, so that's cool.
That's cool. No, and that's the other thing. It's like, it's like step 1, have one strong, nuanced female character. Step 2,
have
surround her with maybe some other women. I don't know.
Yeah, that would be nice. Although there were, 2 rebel women who were maybe leaders who were talking in that conference room to one another. Yeah. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like, what are we going to do there? Are they talking to each other? Is this movie going to pass the Bechdel-Wallace test?
Right. One of them was played by a black woman, a woman of color, and she was the
that
one
was
who was
cool.
talking
I was like,
about
who's she? Tell us about
firepower.
her.
It's like, yes, please, I want to know more. We're probably not going to know more.
So Jessica, she wasn't anybody from anything that you recognized?
I don't recognize her as anything. I don't know if I've ever
Give us her whole history and backstory.
Okay. So she's from one of Corellia's moons, known as, I don't know anymore. I can't even fake it. Like,
Thanks for filling us in. Yeah, I was excited by that, and then obviously like the other female characters from the first Star Wars movie, and is an eternal vampire, I guess, because she looks exactly the same. Whoever that actress is, who's playing the woman who's like, many Bothans died to bring us this news.
Mon Mothma,
Yeah.
The leader of the whole
rebellion. All these character names. Yeah. I don't. I can remember movie quotes. I got you covered there.
You're good. If we're on a trivia team, we'd be very well rounded.
Yeah. Guys, let's do some Star Wars trivia. Let's just stop doing this video.
We just totally should.
I pretty much talk about Star Wars the way I talk about Game of Thrones, where I'm like, it's that guy with the thing. Like, there's just so many people. I'm like,
I feel that way too. Like, I've read all the Game of Thrones books, and I'm still like, I don't know his name, but he's friends with the other guy who has the thing, and they both have a sword. Listen.
Yeah, it's totally cool.
I can't keep track. Okay, you know what I'm here for. So Dan, what do you think about all?
Yeah, now that we've plowed over you with our opinions.
Well, I mean, I think the hope element was very interesting. I'm wondering personally if there's something to do with the way the first trailer was a little more angsty and this one was hopeful. I'm wondering if that has to do with character development within the movie. Like, is she going to come out of the gate a little more angsty like that, and with the whole "I rebel" line, and later in the movie become more of a leader? Like, is that the journey that we're going to see? That's what I thought was interesting about it.
Yeah, we already know that they went through extensive reshoots and re-edits, and I'm wondering, which version of the movie does this reflect? Likely the latest, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I mean, we're 2 months away from release and all that.
Maybe they thought about it and they were like, we should give her a positive attitude.
Yeah, I mean, they probably paid attention to a lot of that feedback, and it's interesting, to see what came of that. I feel like one of the biggest criticisms I saw online was that suddenly a story that was about the rebellion, bringing Jyn in because of her skills, suddenly becomes a story about her father. You know what I mean? That was a pretty big, actually pretty relevant criticism, I think. I'm like, that's actually an interesting point. I think that the original story is still there. I wonder if the movie was re-edited to focus on her father now, or if that was just the tone of this trailer because we actually don't know a whole lot about him, or actually we haven't seen him at all. It might just be this trailer.
I feel like too that whatever skills she has is in large part due to her father. Like that you can't really separate that if he's the one from the time she's little, imparting her with certain ideas.
Right, yeah.
That's just where it's going to come from, and so it's going to be connected. But yeah, I do hope that it doesn't detract from her competence and who she is and what she decides to do with it. Yeah.
They
But
should,
also
they
that
should
would
have made it
still
her
be-
mom.
Yeah, I was
Why can't it be
going to
his
say that
mom?
too. I was like, it would have been
That was
cool
a comment.
if it had been a story about
Yeah.
her mom.
Yeah, but her mom wasn't Hannibal, so
Well, all
To a
right.
point.
But
That is
also,
a very good point.
it would be cool if the story was about her sort of having a relationship with her dad that wasn't necessarily bad. Like, obviously, the other
Yeah.
Star Wars movies have revolved around, like, some pretty rocky father
issues.
figures. Like, that's a
Yeah.
pretty big part of Star Wars themes, whether we like it or not. It would be cool if there were some maternal themes in there. I would love to see that. But, like,
Totally.
since this movie is going to have Darth Vader in it, spoilers, like, that sort of patriarchal problematic influence is going to be there and like going to be pushed back against. And so I think like that's something that A New Hope did, and it's something that The Force Awakens did. Like, there's always going to be dads in Star Wars. I don't know if that's not that I wouldn't totally be excited if there was a mom Star Wars movie. I would
There's
love
always
it.
a dad, and there's always the Death Star, and then, is this the end of BioShock Infinite?
Yeah, there's always a dad. There's always a lighthouse. BioShock Infinite is totally about dads. We can do a different video about that someday.
I mean, that's the subplot that a lot of people seem to be kind of missing out on, is the fact that her dad is central to this whole thing, and he is kind of coerced into helping the Empire build the Death Star. You know, there's a lot in this trailer pointing to the fact that they're launching a rescue mission or something to save him, I guess. I mean, that's one of my theories.
well, and you know, there's this look on her face when they tell her that that, you know, her father's involved in making this weapon, and she kind of looks like disappointed, and she has this like there's this vibe that like there's something that she's going to be wrestling with, as far as like not wanting to believe that he has gone over to the dark side. Like, he must be coerced. He must have been, you know, like
Right.
wanting
Which
to believe
is-
the best in him. And I hope that proves true, so that it's not more horrible daddy issues, that it's like, no,
Right.
he actually was coerced.
I think it'll probably, maybe this is just my hope for talking, but I think it'll probably be more interesting because I feel like they've done a lot with previous Star Wars movies to kind of try to humanize villains. I mean, like, for better or for worse with Darth Vader, like, arguably they failed at certain points, but like in the best of Anakin's past in the cartoons, you get to see him as sort of a complex character, and you get to sort of sympathize with characters who do choose the dark side. Like, in good Star Wars stories, I think we really get to see that unfold. So I think there's a lot of potential there, and like, I don't think we've really yet seen an example, although perhaps in The Force Awakens we kind of see Rey having a father figure-ish in Han Solo, but we haven't really seen like a female hero sort of navigating this where she's the protagonist. Like, we've kind of seen some of this with Luke and his sort of dueling father figures situation with Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. But like, this is still a new story, at least within Star Wars canon. So even though it's about a dad, I'm still like, this is new for Star Wars. I don't know. I think it's cool.
I think from the beginning of this trailer, like, it's obvious. Like, he says, quote, everything I do it to protect you.
Yeah.
You know, and it's sort of like, it's not only him justifying to himself what he has to do, it's him justifying it to his daughter, because I think he knows that, and I'm getting the sense that, I don't know if it's true or not, that they're separated, that she hasn't seen him, obviously, because the way she reacts to, this is about your father, suddenly it's like, what is this about?
Yeah.
Whereas every other question they've asked her in every other trailer, she's had like some kind of snarky, snippy response to it.
Yeah, she's like
Suddenly,
very emotionally closed off. But then in
Right.
this, it's like, oh, this is the thing that's already been haunting me.
Exactly, like they went right to it, like they know. And then I feel like this is going, you know, I feel like she's somebody who, and here's again my theorizing about what the plot could be. So
Yeah,
I don't
you've
know,
like already
possible
mapped out the
potential
entire
spoilers.
movie.
Oh, I have. I should show you the whiteboard that I have in my bedroom
A lot of
All the
things
with like
that-
red
Yeah, with
string
the string,
connecting
it's the,
things.
the
Yeah.
wall chart. Yep.
Yeah, it's just like a beautiful mind.
Mhm.
You know, she's separated from her father. I feel like she, in some way, embraces that, like, almost daddy issues kind of archetype. Like, I am rebelling against things, and I'm really unhappy because I don't know, I don't have one of my
I don't have a
parents.
father figure.
Right, which is why she's always in trouble and why she's in prison to begin with. So she gets all these skills to do that, but then the rebellion basically shortcuts her to get her almost in contact with her father, as long as she's willing to help them get the Death Star plans too. So, you know, this whole thing is going to be it's going to be tackle on daddy issues or like father issues.
Well,
I think.
but,
Like I think you're totally right.
I guess I just don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, because it's like
No.
we've already seen Luke wrestle with his daddy issues, quote unquote, and Kylo Ren wrestle with his daddy issues.
Right,
so,
which is why I hesitate to use that term. I totally think it's okay. Like it's a great thing. I think it's
that
actually
people
going to
will
be
probably use that term about this movie a lot because there's a woman in it.
Right,
And,
exactly. That's the thing.
The Mary Sue will be there to challenge those people.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be a interesting juxtaposition between Jyn and her father, and this is going to be a total out of the blue guess, and Krennic and Darth Vader. I don't think they have that kind of father relationship, but they definitely do have that kind of overseer underling relationship. Exactly. Right. So there's two different ends to this. You know what I mean? Like, here's what you can accomplish if your figure is really cold and terrible and murdered a lot of people when he was a young Jedi. And then there's like this other one where even if on the surface everything looks terrible and sad and awful and you don't even really know them, there's this chance that, you know, there's a good part in this person. You know, it'll mirror in a way Luke's struggle to reveal the good part in Vader. You know, and I think Jyn will succeed in this, whereas Luke kind of succeeded but ended up losing his father. I think it's going to be in reverse. Jyn has already lost her father, but she'll get him back. You know,
we're gonna go back and watch this video after the movie comes out, and we're gonna stack up all of your claims, Jessica. We're gonna evaluate them.
I was completely right about every single prediction I made about The Force Awakens.
Were you?
Yeah.
I think I just avoided a lot of those articles because I was like, I don't want to be spoiled. I somehow managed to avoid the big Rey spoiler also by like selectively not editing things on our own website.
Yeah, exactly. Right? I mean, I predicted, I called Han Solo dying, I called, you know.
That was actually spoiled for me by like people being rude on Twitter.
And that I'm really sad about.
Yeah.
But
hopefully no one does that with this movie, but I'm sure people will. I'm sure there will be some huge death that gets spoiled for.
Oh yeah.
Or some big pivotal twist. It's Star Wars, guys. It's Star Wars.
Yeah. I mean, I see a lot of moments in this movie where it's like, oh, that's the twist, and it's not. You know what I mean? It's just sort of like.
Like that was nothing.
Yeah. Right.
Everyone's a Jedi, and everyone's dead.
Yeah.
They would all have to be. I mean, we know what happened.
Everyone's dead. Actually, speaking of the Jedi, for those of you who would know more than me specifically about the peripheral, like the books and stuff like that.
So Jessica, this is a question for Jessica.
Yes, go on.
Has there ever been a chunk of Star Wars lore where there hasn't been a ruling like dark side force, like the Empire, or like that where basically like the Jedi have been in charge consistently, and we get to see what that would even be like?
Oh, you mean like kind of a almost peacetime kind of thing? Sort
of, yeah. I mean, obviously there's always going to be like, you know, stuff brewing, but like has there ever been a peacetime like Star Wars anything?
Yes. I mean, there's this book, this kind of anthology, short story anthology of I think it's Tales of Coruscant or Tales of Corellia, like Security. Like Corellia is its own planet. It's very independent and almost separate from all these other places. It's technically within like the core systems and all that, but it's basically the biggest place where humans kind of come from. And they have their own government, they have their own security force, and they pretty much almost stand nearly completely isolated from everything that's going on with the Galactic Civil War. So these short stories focus on, you know, there are no dark side, light side things. There are some influences to them, but it's very much a almost kind of police procedural thing. You know, it's very like on the ground Defenders style, almost like stories about the things that are happening here.
Interesting.
But it is set in the time of the Galactic Civil War. I think there's always something like beyond.
So it's happening, but it doesn't affect them as much.
Exactly. You know, beyond the original trilogy and the old expanded edition, Luke is rebuilding the Jedi Order and things are okay, but there's sort of all these echoes of the Sith and like all these terrible things happening. And then just to mix things up, you know, they decided to throw in a whole new alien race that doesn't respond to the Force. And it's just sort of like, okay, I mean, I know you need something, but really? You know? And there's always something. There's always something threatening the galaxy, and there's always something threatening the universe and everything. But it's always kind of the same idea, which I think is why they got rid of the old EU.
Well, it's I don't know why this trailer in particular made me think of this, but I was, I thought about the idea of what would Jedi rule look like, and the fact that nobody likes a utopia, that there's always the one Yahoo who's like, I hate all this perfection, I need to mess it up. And so like kind of having like something where we're following like a Sith protagonist and what rebellion looks like from that side. I don't know if that could even be written. I don't know if that would be a thing, but
I think it would be really compelling actually, because I think there's some pretty fair critique.
Kathleen Kennedy should call me basically and hire me to write that. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The Force Unleashed was kind of that. You played this really Force sensitive kid who was secretly trained by Vader, and you were like a Sith kid, like coming up and being a Sith apprentice and all that stuff during the time of the rebellion.
What was it again?
The Force Unleashed. It's a video game. It's like 2 or 3 games.
Gotcha.
At the end of the game, spoilers, turns out this kid like has, again, the choice that often gets made in the Star Wars thing where you're good or a terrible person, ends up going with the good choice, sacrifices himself, and becomes the symbol of the rebellion. So it's sort of like an interesting... It's interesting in that you get to play and see from the dark side, the Empire side of everything that's going on, especially in this whole you're not supposed to be there thanks to just secretly trained by Vader. It is a compelling story, but it's also very Gary Stu-ish. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's an interesting story. I think it could be told way better in a movie, but I don't know.
All right.
And
Speaking of, like,
I think we've got to wrap it up, guys.
Well, we can't talk about Star Wars all day.
I can talk about this for hours.
It's really, we're a little off topic now. I think we got to.
Well, all I wanted to say is, speaking of movies, that the other trailer that came out recently for that should be a movie. The end.
What?
Wait, sorry. Say that again. You were breaking up a little.
Oh, sorry. The trailer, the other trailer that came out recently for the Old Republic game.
Oh yeah.
Could be a movie.
Yeah, maybe.
It's really exciting. I mean, those are apparently the main characters of the video game. It's just they don't have their own real movie to go with them. So
you never know. They might show up in something else, like in the cartoons or something.
Yeah. And, fun fact, that's what you do with Star Wars. Like, if you're ever in a Star Wars movie in the background, they scan your face to use you in a video game later. Everybody has a potential to become, like, a major character of their own story. So that's the great thing about this entire actual universe.
Yeah, Lucasfilm is super organized. That's not sarcastic. They're very organized. At least they seem that way to me about their canon.
Oh, yeah.
It's very exciting and cool. So, yeah. Rogue One!
Yeah. Bye, everybody.
Bye.